This week's Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast is dedicated in memory to Jesus Rodriguez, aka Alberto El Patron. We would like to send our audio condolences to one of the biggest douchebags in the history of professional wrestling. Enjoy the show, everybody.
You know what I'm gonna do about it? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tweet my displeasure. That's right. I'm going to jump on social media and I'm going to tweet about it until my fingers bleed. I might even send an Instagram or a Vine. That's right. And on that tweet, in that tweet, and however many characters I get, I am going to threaten. That's right. If I don't get what I want, I'm going to riot. And if that doesn't work, then by God, me and my friend Mark, we're going to stop watching. That's right.
2 weeks ago, I had an indiscretion. A lapse of judgment that does not reflect my character. In my match with Mustafa Ali, I climbed up to the top rope with the sole purpose of scouting my surroundings. And I caved into peer pressure and had a moment of weakness. Without thinking, regrettably, I dove off the top rope like a common show-off. And I sincerely apologize for lowering myself to Mustafa Ali's standards of conduct and allowing him to even the score in our rivalry at 2 wins apiece. I promise to deliver a better 205 Live, and I intend to uphold that promise. That's why I am proposing that next week on 205 Live, Mustafa Ali face me in a match to determine once and for all whose philosophy will represent the future of the cruiserweight division. My well-rounded, ground-based, family-friendly wrestling, or Ali's high-flying showboat. And to leave no doubt as to whose approach is superior, I challenge Mustafa Ali to a 2 out of 3 falls match. Thank you for your time.
It would be a tough task to go up against the Beast, but if there's anybody out there that can do it, I think it's me. And I think I can handle the Beast. I think I can go toe-to-toe with the Beast, and I think I can beat the Beast. I think I could be the Universal Champion. In fact, I think I am the next Universal Champion.
What makes you think that you're going to be able to step up to that opportunity right away?
Look at me, Renee. I'm 7 feet tall. That's why.
Okay.
Listen, he's a big guy.
Yes.
There's no
Can't
doubt.
dispute that.
And I know for a fact that you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder because you feel that a lot of people doubted you, and they thought that Enzo was the star and you were just the tall guy.
For years, everybody doubted me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 62 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. I'm the student game professional wrestling Josh Lopez, here to entertain you for the next 90 minutes while you're traveling all around the bumblefuck sections of the United States of America, or Mexico, or UK, or New Zealand. We got a lot of international listeners to this podcast as well, as I found out over the weekend. So shout out to all you good people who are continuing to support this podcast. There's a lot of ways you can support this podcast. First off, you can follow me on Twitter at Notorious Joshi. You can also follow me on Instagram at Notorious Joshi. Check out my YouTube channel. You can find the link to every single edition, of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast on there. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. That's where you get my podcast from. And I do this podcast every single week for mindofcarnage.com, so make sure to check out this podcast on mindofcarnage.com as well. If you have any interest in being an advertising partner or just an overall supporter of this particular podcast, please send an email to joshlopezwwe94@gmail.com. Use the subject line advertising. We got a good show as always this week, 62 episodes in, and I find it very ironic that today's podcast is episode 62 because one of my favorite pitchers from the Chicago White Sox got traded to the Chicago Cubs literally 45 minutes before I started recording the podcast this week. So if I'm kind of on the edge or kind of going all over the place, I apologize. I'm still kind of flustered by this move. Not that I'm mad about the prospects that we got back, because we got a lot of good prospects back, but I'm from Chicago, okay? We take a lot of pride in the teams we have. I think that's one of the charms about our city or cities like Philly and etc. that we have so much pride in our cities that we do not want to help out other teams that are either part of the city. Like, I wouldn't want to, like, let's say you live in New York, right? Oh, I would give away Noah Syndergaard away to the New York Yankees, right? Like, how would you as a Met fan feel about that? Or, for example, how would a Dodger fan or Angel fan feel about having Mike Trout go to the Dodgers or Corey Seager going to the Angels? You know, even football, not only baseball, but how about football? For example, let's go to California because they got a shitload of football teams there. How would you feel in the case that Derek Carr goes to the Los Angeles Rams and you're an Oakland Raider fan? Like, I don't know. I take a lot of pride in my Chicago White Sox. I'm glad that we got the prospects that we got back, but seeing Jose Quintana in a Chicago Cubs uniform going forward, it's going to be very, very tough for me to watch. I'm not going to lie. Now, I'm not going to be poo-poo and oh, woe is me. It's happened. We got a lot of prospects now that are highly ranked in the MLB world. And I think Rick Hahn's doing a good job as general manager for the White Sox, so I'm willing to give it time. So, we're not a sports podcast. I saved those thoughts for my sports talk show, which you can check out on my YouTube channel. It's called The Sports Drive, and we do it every Fridays on YouTube. And I'll talk about that tomorrow on The Sports Drive. But regardless, this is a wrestling podcast. This is a wrestling podcast where you and I have fun, sit back, strap it down, have a good time, talk about the world of professional wrestling. On this week's podcast, we're going to be talking about the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. We're also going to talk about what's going on for the Raw brand for SummerSlam. I'll talk about SmackDown as they're leading up towards their Battleground pay-per-view. We'll talk about just a lot of things going on in the world of professional wrestling. And in the monologue this week, I promised it to everybody on Twitter that I was going to do my monologue rant on Alberto El Patron. Now, I want to preface this before we get things going here in this monologue. And the portion of this rant is not solely on Paige, because I know that's what's been on everybody's mind over the past couple days, and we all seen the news on TMZ, and I got audio that I'm going to share to you guys in just a couple of seconds, because as any good broadcaster would know that actually went to broadcasting school for a living and actually are actual trained professionals, you have to follow up your statements by also sharing the facts at the same time. So I'm going to share that audio that TMZ shared for this altercation, I guess, that happened in the Orlando airport over the weekend. And I want to preface this by saying that I'm not here to denigrate Paige. I'm not here to bring down Paige. I actually relate a lot to Paige. I do. Not only for the fact that she's my age, but I do notice a lot of similarities between myself and her. So I want to make this clear. I'm not here to attack Paige or bring down her credibility or anything like that. That's not my goal here. Obviously, she's a young woman. She has every right to do what she wants to do. That's not my reasoning for doing this rant. My reasoning for this rant goes to her boyfriend / husband-to-be. Solely him, not her. Because it's not her that's getting me pissed off. It's him that's getting me pissed off. A guy that represents my my race. I'm not Mexican, but I'm also Hispanic. So this dude's making all Hispanics in the world of professional wrestling look bad with his conduct. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to hold back my feelings about Alberto Patron. I used to work for WrestleZone. I used to work for Between the Roads. I'm not currently signed by any media outlet. So these opinions on this particular podcast are my own independent opinions. And I know a lot of people would say, oh, you're just entitled to things. Well, this is my podcast, and I have the right to say what I want on my podcast. I don't have any filter. I got nothing to hide. I'm not here to impress anybody at the end of the day. You decided to listen to my podcast because you seem to like my points of view in the world of professional wrestling, and I'm grateful for that. I truly am. Not a lot of people in this field of podcasting give actual gratitude to their fans or friends. I like to call you guys friends. I don't have fans. I don't have an ego. I'm not part of the wrestling business. I'm a broadcaster that have friends that like to talk about wrestling. It's that simple. I'm not part of the business. But those who decide to download and subscribe to this podcast and listen to it every single week, you come and listen to my genuine and authentic points of view in the world of professional wrestling. I'm not here to put an act on. I'm not here to call myself an insider. I'm not here to give you reality checks. I'm not here to act like I'm an analyst, because I'm not. I'm a broadcaster. It's that simple. And I feel like it's just a shame that we put certain people in the wrestling business on a pedestal for whatever reason. Last week on the Pipe On with McCool & Company, which is the other podcast I do on the NAI network, which subscribes to on iTunes. I'm co-host on that show, by the way. So I did a rant on Alberto El Patron last week because we were just coming off the heels of the Slammiversary pay-per-view, and El Patron decided to conduct himself like the jackass he's always been. El Patron goes on in his soliloquy about, we're not sports entertainers, we're professional wrestlers. No, motherfucker, you are a sports entertainer. All you guys are sports entertainers. This is not a sport. It's not a sport. It's never been a sport. It's entertainment. You draw people into these arenas all around the country for them to be entertained, get their mind off of real life bullshit that's going on. That's your goal as a performer. You're an entertainer. You're a real life stuntman in the ring, portraying as an entertainer in this fantasy sports land. That's what professional wrestling is. It's not a sport. Oh, we're not WWE sports entertainers. Nobody would know who the fuck you were if you weren't a WWE superstar. That was a little bit of what I had to say on that side of the topic, because I'm just tired of that argument. Every time somebody gets fired from the WWE, the only way they can find a way to get some buzz on the indie scenes or the dirt sheet world is going on a fucking soliloquy about, oh, we're not sports entertainers, we're professional wrestlers. Okay, cool story, bro. Professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, it's the same shit. Nothing has changed. Wrestling's been around for 60 years. It's based on entertainment. It's not a sport. El Patron, does anybody know what your freaking win-loss record is? No! Because people have lives. Well, I should retract that, because for some reason, some Nimrod on Twitter over the past couple weeks has been posting win-loss records for these performers. Like, we're supposed to change our points of view on these wins-loss records. You gotta be kidding me, bro. Get a life. But back to El Patron. You're not doing yourself any favors. Nobody cares about your, oh, we're professional wrestlers speech. Nobody cared. Were you front page news because, oh, El Patron shoot on the WWE after Slammiversary. Having a headline on a dirt sheet doesn't mean it's mainstream news. I don't care what anybody says. Just because you're a top story on Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer website doesn't mean shit to me. It doesn't mean absolute dog shit to me. I don't care. I don't. Because I don't take Dave Meltzer as a serious journalist. I don't take Wrestling Observer F4W Online as a real news outlet. I don't consider Wrestling Inc. a real news outlet. I don't consider majority of wrestling websites as credible media outlets. I don't. The only credible ones that we've had so far was PWI back in the day with Bill Apter, and also the ESPN WWE.com site. But again, my point is, nobody cares what you have to say, El Patron. Talk about how important this moment is for TNA and Impact, or GFW, or whatever the fuck they're calling it now. But you decide to take your time to trash the company that you got fired from for the second time because you failed to execute and deliver and perform to what your expectations and what your potential should have been. It's Triple H's fault that you never had a connection with the audience. It's Vince McMahon's fault that you never got the opportunity to be the face of the company. It's always the WWE's fault for certain performers not reaching their full potential. And I just think it's a freaking played out argument. Every time somebody gets fired from the WWE, oh, you know, this guy's going to get some credibility because he's going to go on a RFW shoot interview, or he's going to shoot on the WWE after an independent match, and it's going to go viral. Dude, I heard it over and over and over again. I've heard Ryback do this a gazillion times. Why do you think I don't listen to his podcast? I think Ryback has one of the worst wrestling podcasts out there today. I just think the argument's getting old. I really do. It's not doing anybody any favors. Okay, big deal, bro. Yeah, you're a professional wrestler. But guess what? You're a sports entertainer, too. You're here to entertain these fans while performing sport-like movements in the ring. These matches are not real. Nobody cares about that. So that, I thought I was going to be done with the Alberto El Patron rant after last week on the Pipe Bomb. But I was wrong. Monday, I wake up, I see this tweet out from one of the airports in Orlando, because I was recently in Orlando for WrestleMania. And they said there was an altercation that was going on between Paige and Alberto El Patron. Now, like any good trained licensed professional broadcaster does, and by the way, Sam Roberts, you're not the last professional broadcaster. Okay? I want to throw that out there too, buddy. I have audio from TMZ that I'm going to give credit to because a lot of people in the media don't give credit to other outlets for whatever reason. I'm going to give credit to TMZ Sports here, and I'm going to play you the audio of this supposed altercation that went on between El Patron and Paige. I'm going to play the audio, I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then we'll move on to Great Balls of Fire. Let's do it.
Stay out of my life. Leave me the fuck alone and try to get away from you. All this time, yes, you deserve it. You just have to last me in your face, not the water.
You are pressing charges against me.
Don't press charges. Don't fuck press charges. It gets me the fuck away from you. It gets me the fuck away from you.
Let's go. I'll follow you. You're not gonna let her go. Call the police. She assaulted me. She needs to be arrested.
Got a couple comments here for Paige's family that I'd like to read to you about this topic because I'm doing my work as a professional here to give you all the context and all the info you can have on this situation. This is from Paige's brother, Zach Beavis, one part of the UK Hooligans in Paige's UK family's promotion. We all know about the Knight family and all that stuff with Saraya Knight as well. Here we go. He says, I've got to say I'm very worried about my sister. Please keep an eye on her. She had one prick known as Brad Maddox who took advantage of an 18-year-old girl, physically and mentally abused her, and now she's with a control freak who thinks he's a tough guy because he beats my sister and has money to cover his tracks. I love my sister. She will end up like Whitney Houston or Amy Winehouse. Please share this. I want the world to know that I care about my little sister. Everyone keep an eye on her. You'll be angry at me, but I love you. I'm writing this on behalf of all the Knights. Okay, so that's first comment from Zach, one of Paige's older brothers. It's interesting. They had the Knight documentary they had out in the UK for BBC a few years ago before Paige got signed to the WWE. And it was very ironic that Zach was one of the people that was trying out with her that same exact day. Zach didn't obviously get hired, but you heard concern there. I'll add a little bit more to that after I read this next one. Paige went on to address this as well on her Twitter account, which you can follow her on Twitter at RealPaigeWWE. This is the tweet. Just clearing up the airport situation just so there's no elaborate versions of the story. Thanks for respecting our privacy. Alberto didn't want me to say full story because he didn't want people to know, and I didn't want people to know that I threw a drink on him. But the full story is I had a phone call saying my uncle is in a bad way. I'm crying outside the restaurant I go in. Alberto is hugging me. I'm a little sensitive, and we start bickering about something so small. I say I'm leaving, and he says something that I won't write on here, but it wasn't nice, and even though I shouldn't have done it, I threw a drink in his face because I was so angry. Again, shouldn't have done it. It was in front of a lot of people, and I walk out. He follows me a few seconds later. He gets the constant security, and a crazy lady decides to leave whatever she's doing to follow us and invade our privacy in a completely low way only low-life people would do. Here's the second part of this tweet. This stuff's insane, man. Anyways, it was me who was being held for battery charges because I threw a drink on him. No, he never touched me, and no, I never hit him with a 3-glass 3 times like the internet in all their glory is making out. It's completely ridiculous how one story can spiral out of control. Oh, and guess what, internet? He smelled like beer because I threw a beer on him. Nothing more, nothing less. No one got arrested. There's no mugshots. There's no charges, nothing. The horrible, disgusting human being of lady decided she wanted to make money out of our misfortune. I wish people would give us the privacy we deserve. I know we won't get it, but I wish that would happen. So, I gave you the audio. I gave you comments from her brother, Zach. I know Roy had comments too, but I couldn't find the actual link to those comments. And also, I read you guys Paige's statement on the situation. And the only thing that we got from Senior Douchebag is that GFW has suspended El Patron indefinitely. Look, I'm not here to denigrate Paige. I'm not. The only thing I'll say about this from Paige's point of view is that you are a victim of your surroundings. You have to be attentive of who and what you surround yourself with. And, okay, some girls like being around bad boys. Okay, I get the whole scenario. Trust me, I do. I get it. There's always that one person in your family that marries somebody that you don't like, and you don't like his background, and yada, yada, yada. I heard this story over and over and over again. This is nothing new. And at the same time, you can't automatically judge somebody because off of first impressions. I don't think that's cool. I've never been about that life. I don't think that's cool. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm going to say this. This is not a dig at Paige. This is not. I'm not going to attack her. She's a grown woman, and at least she's going up on Twitter and owning up to her mistakes. She said that she threw the beer at El Patron. Okay, perfectly fine. I don't care. But at the same time, what I'm going to say about El Patron is what I do care about. The way he conducts himself as a human being pisses me off. The way he conducts himself as a professional pisses me off. The way he treats professional wrestling fans pisses me off. The guy is a certifiable prick. That's what he is. That's what he's always been. And it's not only stuff with Paige that's going on, but this is also happened in previous relationships that he's had. How many times has the guy got divorced over the past 5 years? Look, I don't care that he's with Paige. That's not my issue. Yes, Paige is sexy. Yes, Paige is hot. Yes, anybody in the world, including me, would love to bang her. That's not my point of this rant. My point of this rant, as a guy who's representing the Hispanic and Latino culture, continues to conduct himself like a jackass. A guy is supposed to be a face of a company for Global Force Wrestling when they're in this new transition, in a new era of their company, goes out and it's front page news on TMZ because he's getting in a verbal or physical altercation with his girlfriend. I'm not with that shit. There's a lot of suspicious stuff that's coming out about this story. The fact that, one minute the lady at the restaurant is lying about the situation, and then we hear another report about how Paige is yelling at El Patron saying that he ruined her life and her career and this and that. She's trying to get the fuck away from him. And then Paige goes out on Twitter yesterday saying that we all say stuff that we don't mean to say in the spirit of being hot at each other or whatever. So a lot of this is not clear. And there's no one stance to take, but I hope Paige finds some inner peace for herself. Because there's always one thing after another. Arguments. This is not the first time we've heard about Paige and El Patron getting in arguments. Hell, this even started when they first dated. You remember that incident after Money in the Bank in Vegas last year? Well, it wasn't them arguing with each other, but they got into a fight, I guess, with some Nimrods that are trying to mess with them after the show. And then we had the reveal about the sex tape a few months ago. And now we got this nonsense. And and during that time, we've heard comments from her dad saying that the guy's an asshole and this and that. Her brothers constantly rip the guy on social media. A lot of people don't like the guy. So I don't know which side of the fence I'm supposed to ride here. I don't. But as a fan, as somebody who actually cares about Paige, Paige was my favorite women's wrestler on the roster before she got injured and she's gotten herself into this nonsense. I feel sorry for her. I really do. This is absolutely embarrassing. And I feel bad for her because she's wasting time on her potential. Love who you want. I don't give a shit. But at the same time, you have to be attentive to your surroundings. Is this person that loves you really making yourself better at the end of the day? That's the question you gotta ask yourself. I don't care that she likes bad guys or she likes the guys with an edge. That's perfectly fine. I don't care. That's not my point of this rant. The point of my rant is, if you're gonna be with somebody, make sure that person is there for your best interest in making you a better human being. Has any of these incidents and public outbursts between Paige and El Patron made Paige a better person over the past 8 months or a year and a half, no matter how long these two have been dating? Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And maybe I don't have to get it. But at the same time, I'm not going to hide away my feelings on certain topics. And the fact that this guy is now supposed to be considered as the face of the company, especially when they made all this new change and all we're Global Force Wrestling now, and that Jeff Jarrett has to have a teleconference about the situation, it affects GFW. Just when I think they got a chance to get back and find some good momentum after Slammiversary, we got this bullshit to deal with. Because guess what? El Patron's the world champion! Like, God damn. Okay, Josh, it's not a big deal. It's their life. You shouldn't worry about it. I'm not worried about their relationship. I'm worried about Paige as the individual. I don't care about the relationship. I don't. I never have. I never will. My frustration comes out is that this bullshit continues and continues and continues and again and again and again and again and again. As Broken Matt Hardy would say, this stuff never stops. I wanted the Paige and Alberto drama to stop months ago. But it continues to happen. Every other effing month is something new. One month, Ricky Knight hates El Patron. The next month, Paige hates her family because they're not letting her live her life. Next we hear El Patron is saying terrible stuff about her uncle who's dying and is in a hospital right now. And then we got this bullshit. And then now you forget about the sex tape too. And not only that, think about last week. This guy goes on Twitter and says that, oh, I'm going to be in San Antonio next week when SmackDown's going to be there. And oh, if the guys in the rap battles think they're tough, they can come to my restaurant and fight. Dude, nobody gives a shit about you. You're a fake tough guy. You've always been a fake tough guy. I don't care that you've been in MMA. Just because you've been in MMA doesn't make you tough. Don't give me that bullshit. Oh, I was in MMA, I was this and that. Dude, you're not tough. You're not. You never been tough. You're a fake tough guy. You choose to get yourself in fights because you want people to pay attention to you. I'll give you credit, Alberto. You do a good job of making a name out of yourself. You also do a good job making an ass out of yourself. You do a good job on that, buddy. You really do. I'll give you your props. I'll give you that. You're good. You're attention-seeking whore. That's what you are. Man. We all want what's best for Paige at the end of the day. Whether we're fans, friends, family, whatever. We're not here to denigrate who fucks who and who fucks this or that. I don't care. I don't. But there's too many circumstances and there's too many events going on with this relationship to not act like this is not affecting her. Really? Are we really supposed to believe that she's glowing and happy and that her life's at the top of the world now with this guy? Are we supposed to believe that? The fact that the family constantly gets concerned about her well-being, not only for her from a mental standpoint. Hell, her brother said that she could possibly be like Amy Winehouse. We all know how that ended. I said I wasn't going to denigrate Paige. I haven't. I'm not going to. Love and fuck whoever you want. I don't care. That's not the point. At the end of the day, Alberto El Patron, Jesus Rodriguez, whatever the fuck you want to call him, is an asshole. He's a douchebag, and he's an embarrassment to this professional wrestling business. And I shouldn't be surprised, because there's a lot of them in this wrestling business. I rip on one every other week. His name is Vince Russo. This guy pumps God like he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then he goes on his podcast calling himself the Antichrist of professional wrestling. This guy is so super religious about things, but he calls himself the Antichrist of professional wrestling, and rants, and raves, and bitches, and moans, and complains about everything. But this guy is supposed to be about positivity and bringing each other together, and we're Christians, and this and other, all bunch of bullshit. So yes, Alberto El Patron can go the fuck home and stay the fuck home. And Vince Russo can also join him in that list as well. And if you want to support Alberto El Patron, you can go the fuck home too.
1 second short, 1 second short. And yeah, we failed again to reclaim the Raw Tag Team Championships. And we know what the tag teams in the back are thinking. The Hardy Boys are done. The nostalgia pop has passed. And maybe we should just fade away and classify ourselves as obsolete.
So, we came out here to make a proclamation. The Hardys are not going anywhere. We are nowhere near done. We have only begun to make magic within the WWE Universe. Hold on. Enough. Come on.
It wasn't other tag teams saying you guys are done.
No.
It was us, the Good Brothers.
You guys seem really proud about your little performance from last night, but the only thing you guys proved was that you're not the Hardy Boys of old. No. You're just the old Hardy Boys.
That's right. So I suggest you nerds
Yeah.
get out of the ring and practice your magic elsewhere, because we're magic killers.
Yeah.
And that ring belongs to us.
Yeah.
Well, neither of us are 100%. We're a little stitched up, a little bruised, and somewhat broken. But if you two think this ring belongs to you, how about we bring a referee out and we have a little fight and determine that right now?
I like the sound of that.
Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar. Anything else?
Well, Mr. Heyman, I thought you and your client, Brock Lesnar, would be curious as to my ideas of who will challenge Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam for the Universal title.
To be blunt with you, Mr. Angle, I did not expect that we'd come out here live on Monday Night Raw to do a Monday Night Raw creative meeting leading into SummerSlam. We don't just volunteer our services for brainstorming in public. I know you're fitting into your new corporate role with your suit and your tie, and you have all these personal problems playing out on your phone. So we'll leave you to all these corporate decisions and your personal problems, and thank you for your time and bid you a pleasant good evening.
Roman, you got a lot of nerve coming out here after what you pulled last night.
Well, let me tell you what you can do now. You can thank me because you didn't know how to handle Braun Strowman, and you're never around to. So if anything, I did you a favor. So maybe you owe me one. And maybe that one is him at SummerSlam.
I like that. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns.
You gotta be kidding me. You actually think you deserve a shot at this? You don't deserve buddy.
Aren't we all living in a wonderful fantasy land? So I'll tell you what, how about I drag us all back down to reality?
Reality is I kicked your last night. That's the reality.
Oh, don't worry about that, because sooner than later, I'm putting your to sleep. Hey, you know in your heart of hearts, if you're really honest with yourself, you didn't beat me last night. You escaped me.
Oh, yes, I did. This is for real, Jay.
Hey, and you've never beaten me.
You'll never see Brock Lesnar in a title match again! Mark my words! Never! You're done!
see that? You see that? That's your advocate. That's the man who knows you better than anyone. Hey, you need to listen to your advocate. He's protecting you from me. Because in his heart, deep down at the bottom of his soul, he knows I'm the one. I'm the man. Hey, you look at me when I'm talking to you, or we can straighten this out right now. He's the man that knows I got your number.
Hold up, you got his number?
All right, hold on, guys,
You
hold
showed
on.
the whole world that last night, right?
You're real mouthy for a man who got beat down by Braun Strowman last night.
Look at me. Now look at Braun if you can find him.
All right, hold on, guys. All right, I have an idea. Listen, just calm down. This is what we're gonna do. Y'all had grueling matches last night. Next week, it's gonna be Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns. The winner of that match will become #1 contender and challenge Brock Lesnar for the Universal title at SummerSlam.
Hey, you got the same text I got, right?
Yeah, I did. Kurt, what are you going to do about this?
I don't know. I can't let this get out. Then again, I might have to go public with this. Oh, God, I'm going to lose my family over this. I hope they support me. My career could be destroyed. Next week, when I go public with this, I could be saying goodbye at the same time.
Look, Kurt, I don't think you're going to have to say goodbye. I mean, you're beloved by so many people, and you're respected by everyone. I have all the confidence in the world that everything's going to be just fine.
Really? I totally understand. Whoa, stop thinking that way. Why don't you come here next week and we'll both do it together? Neither one of us has anything to be ashamed of. I'm proud of you. And I hope you feel the same way about me. Yeah. So why don't you come here next week and we'll tell the whole world together. And whatever happens, happens. I love you.
All audio clips are owned by the WWE. This is to use and enhance our presentation of our podcast. We do not own the consent of these audio clips for your enjoyment and get you caught up in case you didn't get a chance to catch Monday Night Raw this past Monday on the USA Network. Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. Hope you enjoyed that Alberto Patron rant. May have taken a couple years out of my life, but nonetheless, I'm here ready to rock and roll and continue on with this podcast. Like I said, make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Josh Lopez. No, we don't have a Twitter for the podcast yet. Maybe I'll do it sometime down the road, but you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at NotoriousSJosh, so you can get more information for the podcast. And if you ever want to send any questions, wrestling-related questions, please send. I'm not. Don't be shy. I'm willing to answer any of your questions. Just don't be a Nimrod. That's all I ever ask. So let's talk about Great Balls of Fire. Let's talk about Raw really quick before we wrap up the podcast this week. I thought the pay-per-view was very good this past Sunday. I had a good time at my godmother's house, Aunt Kim's house. Always fun. Get to watch the show there. Got to play a little NBA 2K17 for the first time on PS4. That was a lot of fun. With my cousin Tommy. That was a lot of fun. And then got to watch the pay-per-view later on that night. Covered the pay-per-view like I do the majority of my articles for my new website and kind of blog called ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. I'm not calling it a website yet because the context of calling it a website is kind of feeling odd to me because you guys know my stance on most of the wrestling websites. This site / blog, whatever you want to call it, this is not a new site. This is just basically me doing my transcriptions of the shows and giving you the results of the shows. It's that simple. It's just a full collage and record, like a storage of wrestling results for you guys. So if you ever want to check it out, you want to check out my play-by-play pieces, go to prowrestlingresults.wordpress.com. That's where I do my articles. And that's where you can find it. Yes, sir. And I covered Great Balls of Fire on Sunday for Dallas, which had a very good crowd. And, we had so many people talking about, this pay-per-view is going to be the worst one of the year because it has a horrible name and this and yada, yada, yada. Capital Punishment wasn't the greatest pay-per-view ever. They had some good matches on that, but still, wrestling fans these days have a way to just make a pay-per-view feel bad just because what the title is. I don't care what a pay-per-view name is. I just want to see some good matches. And we got that on Sunday. I thought Neville Tozawa did a very good job on the kickoff show. Neville used his heel tactics to his advantage, and I have no problem with that. I like the fact that WWE's now booking more heelish, traditional heel ways to finish off matches and not a gazillion near falls and kicking out of every finisher and stuff like that. Yeah, you could be indecisive on a finish or indecisive of where certain feuds are going, but that gives you a leeway to extend those feuds. Just like Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. Just like how it was at Money in the Bank, in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, or the Usos with the New Day. Hey, you bitched about it, about having count-out finishes and finishes that didn't go the way you wanted, but you're more invested into it now, aren't you? I mean, look at all the buzz that got from that rap battle with the Usos and New Day last week. People want to see that match now at Battleground. But back to my point, I think Neville and Tozawa killed it. I didn't think Tozawa was going to beat Neville at the pay-per-view. And when you have in-between shows like Great Balls of Fire or Battleground, for example, or Extreme Rules or Fastlane, or any other in-between shows in the calendar year, I'm fine with having these type of finishes. I'm not expecting to see conclusions like you would see at SummerSlam or Rumble or even Survivor Series for that fact, or even WrestleMania. So I'm fine with how they went about that match. I didn't think it affected Tozawa one bit. Neville's still the man. And think about this. Neville has been the Cruiserweight champion since the Royal Rumble. We're about to enter August in a couple of weeks, and it's not a lot of times where you see WWE performers having 7 or 8 month long title reigns, and Neville deserves a lot of props for how he's reinvented his career with this character. He's had way more stock than he had right now than he did in NXT. I'll take this certain character of Neville than what I saw in NXT, and I'm not taking anything away he did in NXT. He was an NXT Tag Team Champion, and he was an NXT Champion as well. So Neville and Tozawa were fine to me. Yeah, I get the complaints of it should be on the main show or whatever, but I'd rather have a good 10-minute, 15-minute match on the kickoff show than having these guys rush for 6 minutes just because we need to give a main event match more and more time. So Neville's still your Cruiserweight champion. The show started off hot with Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt. I was kind of surprised these guys started off the show, but regardless, man, these two killed it, man. I know some people haven't been high on the particular storyline, but you cannot take away what these two have been doing in the ring. Not only on Sunday, but also on Raw this past Monday. I thought they had a very good main event match as well. I think the in-ring chemistry with Rollins and Bray is pretty good, and for it being the first time matchup, I thought they hold their end of the bargain. I thought they did a very, very good job, and Bray Wyatt got the victory. I predicted it on the Bob and Pikes last week. It wasn't a win or go home scenario for Bray Wyatt. I've already stated my case on this show a gazillion times of it doesn't matter how many times Bray Wyatt loses, you still are invested in his character. But it is nice to see Bray Wyatt to get a pay-per-view victory on a platform like that. So I thought Bray and Seth killed it. The stuff with Enzo and Big Cass served its purpose. I didn't think the match was going to happen, but with the way they went about the match, I thought it was fine. It didn't affect Enzo. I thought Big Cass looked good. I don't know about the music, but we'll see about that. I'm pretty sure my opinion will change over time, but Big Cass is now entering a new phase of his career, and if you haven't seen not Talk Smack, but Raw Talk, make sure to see Big Cass on Raw Talk, the one they had after Great Balls Fire, because he killed it on that show with Rosenberg and Renee Young. Let me just say this, man. I talk about Waterfall on the bottom of Pikes, but I don't know what it is, but Renee Young is getting hotter and hotter, man. Dean Ambrose, you're a lucky SOB, man. I'm just going to be upfront about that. The 30-minute Iron Man match was the third match of the show, ironically. Hardy, Cesaro, and Sheamus. This has probably been one of my favorite feuds of the year so far. These two tag teams have been killing it in the ring, and the Hardys still can go at their age. Cesaro and Sheamus, I've always been for the act, even when they first started and everyone was ripping it. Oh, this is a waste of Cesaro's opportunities. Oh, this is showing that Vince doesn't know what to do with Cesaro. Oh, you're going to pair him with Sheamus, nobody's going to care. These two tag teams may have had the best match of the show on Sunday. They killed it. I thought it was a great match. Cesaro and Sheamus deserve a lot of props, man. They are a great tag team. Not a good tag team, they're a great tag team. And I think the sky's the limit for them. I don't know how long these two are going to be the tag team champions, but I'll say this, man. I'm very, very happy and proud of Cesaro and Sheamus. And I bet you Mick Foley's very proud too, because despite him getting ripped for his role as Raw General Manager last year, I thought his emphasis on Cesaro and Sheamus really helped that group go to the next level before he had to go off and have his hip surgery. So I'm happy for Cesaro and Sheamus. They deserve a lot of props. They deserve a lot of props, man. They killed it. Speaking of killing, I thought Sasha and Alexa killed it too. The match ended in a count up, but I would expect these two to go at it again at SummerSlam. Not the worst case scenario, but I can probably see this going into a three-way with Sasha, Alexa, and Nia. It's going to be very interesting what's going to happen, because Bayley got the pinfall over Alexa on Raw this week. Will you make that a four-way at SummerSlam? Possibly. Or a four-way elimination match? Possibly. Who knows? It can spew off in two different ways, though. You could have Alexa go against Nia, and you can finally have your Sasha and Bayley match. Who knows? But the Raw Women's title is up in the air. Miz defeated Dean Ambrose to retain the Intercontinental Championship. Perfectly fine with that. The ambulance match with Roman and Braun Strowman. This is my favorite match of the show, guys. I'm not going to lie. I am a Roman guy, but I'm also a Braun guy, too. These two have had the feud of the year so far for WWE. And Roman and Braun, they kill it every time they're in the ring with each other. And I just love covering their matches. This one was no different. The physicality was there the whole time. The crowd was into it. The spot where Roman was setting Strowman into the LED boards, through the LED boards on the stage, was nasty. The way Strowman again launches Reigns into the ambulance was really sick too. I liked how they had the finish with how Strowman won. I thought that was very smart. I thought the spear after the match out of the ambulance was really cool. And then here's a big part of the controversy and how wrestling fans can be so petty towards a certain performer. I hear it every single week. I see it every single week on Twitter. WWE's top babyface sure not acting like a babyface anymore. Oh, just accept that he's a heel now. Just make the turn. Just do this. Just do that. Oh, Roman Reigns should just be a heel now. You know, I find it funny that it's okay for Stone Cold Steve Austin to mess things up and do heelish stuff during the Attitude Era, or The Rock, or God knows who else during that era that did crazy shit. But Roman Reigns can't barely put Strowman through the back of the production truck. It wasn't attempted murder. So Strowman launching Roman off a freaking deck is not murder. Strowman not flipping Reigns over in an ambulance is not attempted murder. Like, come on, man. Enough already. You're just saying this shit because you don't like Roman Reigns and yada, yada, yada. It's just getting old, dude. Give the guy the credit he deserves. Oh, Roman Reigns doesn't deserve anything. Kiss my ass. These two killed it. I thought the whole stuff with Heath Slater and Kurt Hawkins was very funny in between. Kurt Hawkins put on Twitter that he lost to a top rope Canadian destroyer from Heath Slater. Not saying that Heath couldn't do that move, but that'd be pretty funny if he did. But yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was a very, very good match. Roman and Braun, and then that led us to the main event, Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Brock Lesnar is still Universal Champion, countering out the Coquina Clutch with an F5 to pick up the victory. A very, very good match for its short amount of time it had. Now we have the scenario now going into Raw next week where we have Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns in a number one contenders match. The winner will go out to take on Brock at SummerSlam. I have a sneaky suspicion that Braun Strowman will cost both guys the match. It'll end in a no contest. That's my prediction for next week. And we're going to get a four-way of Samoa Joe, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman at SummerSlam. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be a perfect way to go about that match. If you haven't seen that segment, by the way, with Kurt, Roman, Brock, and Joe on Raw this past week, go check that out. You want to talk about intensity? Especially when Brock was like, "You see this? You see this?" I thought that was awesome. I thought that was very, very cool. I thought Roman had some good lines in that as well. So, yeah, man, the Raw title picture's looking good. I thought the Great Balls of Fire period was very good. You have your jokes about the pay-per-view name, but the pay-per-view did deliver, and you can't deny that. All right. Also, there's been a lot of talk about what is this confession Kurt Angle has to make. Who's he bringing to Raw next week in Nashville? The coincidence is right there, right off the bat. How you did not have Dixie Carter on Raw next week is beyond me. It has to be her. I'll be shocked if it's Stephanie McMahon. I'll admit I'll be very shocked if it's Stephanie. I won't have a problem with it, but I will be shocked. It's going to be very interesting how this plays out. This segment could start off the show. I'm pretty sure it probably will start off the show on Raw on Monday because they got to... I think it's probably smart to have Joe and Reigns close out the show next week. So, yeah, I think Dixie Carter or Stephanie McMahon will be the one that Kurt Angle reveals as his secret love interest, I guess. And we also have to see how Corey Graves is involved in this as well, because he's the one that revealed that Big Cass attacked Enzo. Well, Corey Graves finally opened up his mouth and saying who's doing what to Kurt Angle. We'll see, but yeah, man, that's my thoughts on Raw and Great Balls of Fire, everybody. I thought it was a good pay-per-view. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Check out my transcription of the show at prowrestlingresults.wordpress.com. We're going to take one more break and check out some clips from this past week's edition of SmackDown Live. Give you some scenarios what's going to head into the go-home show for Battleground next week. And then a little bit much more, and we'll wrap up the podcast. We'll be right back in just.
Charlotte, it was announced earlier tonight that you will be competing in a 5-way elimination match at Battleground. Now, after what we saw in the ring earlier tonight, it seems that there's a bond forming between Lana and Tamina. How do you prepare for that match knowing they're in it?
Yeah, I don't really think about their bond. I mean, no one has a better bond than me and Becky. She's my best friend, but it is a 5-way. Adding Lana to the mix, yeah, it's a different dynamic, but Lana is an opportunist. She's vindictive. But at the end of the day, I'm the queen. I came to SmackDown Live to represent a brand and be the best and be the first ever Triple Crown winner.
That's pretty, isn't it?
Thank you.
Hey! My God!
I've been looking for you.
Yeah, I know.
We deserve an apology, and I expect that apology now.
An apology? You mean another apology? Because as I remember it, I've already apologized. Actually, I've apologized twice, and if I'm being honest, I think I'm getting a little sick of apologizing. The more I think of it, I'm not even sure I know why I'm apologizing, because it seems to me, every time I actually have something important to do, like, have a wrestling match, it seems to me you guys are actually in my way with one of your, love-ins or whatever. Yeah, this. What is this? Oh, my God. I mean, what do you actually do here? Mike, do you compete here? Me? Yeah. What is all this about? Oh, wait, I think I've got it figured out here. You're the lover and she's the fighter. Is that right? Is that how this works? Is that what they say? Oh. Yeah!
And that was brought to you by the power of love. And Sammy, sometimes love hurts.
Sammy, you all right?
We got some help. Looking at you tonight, I mean, there is zero ring rust on you.
Same with you, man. You can go away, you can come back.
We're not talking about me, we're talking about you.
I'm saying we're cut from the same cloth.
Oh, okay.
And we both go and we both grind and our heart beats for this. And I know that there is a sunset in the horizon. I'm very self-aware of what's going on. I'm not saying I can't hang anymore. As a matter of fact, I'm saying I know every day gone is a day closer. So I'm going to make the most of every day. And that's dangerous to those guys out there. That's dangerous to those guys who are trying to maybe coast to the next week or don't give their all every single time they step in the ring. I have always left it all on the canvas, but now, as I can see the sunset, I'm driven even more so to let every single person know that I still belong, I still can go, and I will still be the best.
This past week on SmackDown, we saw the return of John Cena come back into in-ring action on the Down to Smack. Yes. We're a couple weeks away from the Ground of Battle on the WWE Network. We checked out that show. Will be coming from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My friend Mitchell McMill, the obsolete mule from the Bamba Pikes, will be there as well to attend, so make sure you go say hi to him. You'll probably be rocking some Sasha Banks gear or something like that. Who knows? Gonna keep my comments on SmackDown Live a little bit brief this week because I want to get you guys off and ready off for your weekend. I know you guys got so many other things you should be focused on than what little Josh has to say about the world of professional wrestling, so I don't want to drag this along, but just want to talk about some of the matches that were added to the Battleground show coming up a week from this Sunday. AJ Styles, we take on Kevin Owens to be the finale of their series of matches at Battleground coming up a week from this Sunday. We also found out that not only that John Cena will be taking on Rusev in a flag match, but we also are going to get Baron Corbin versus Nakamura like I predicted last week. And we're also getting a fatal 5-way match, elimination match. The winner will take on Naomi for the SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam, which is pretty cool. You got Charlotte, Becky, Tamina, Natalya, and Lana. A lot of A's in there. A lot of Annas. Annas, A's, and A's. Lots of good asses there, too, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. But, yeah, we have a 5-way elimination match determining the number one contender to the SmackDown Women's Championship. I would expect that possibly Naomi would take on Carmella, but I don't know if Carmella wants to cash in her briefcase already. We'll see about that. I expect to see probably Mike Kanellis against Sami Zayn added to the show as well. We already know that the Usos are going to be fighting the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, which is going to be a lot of fun. I thought Woods and Jey Uso had a very good match on SmackDown this week. Also, make sure to check out the Punjabi Prison match with Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal. Speaking of good matches, I thought Jinder and Ty Dillinger had a very good match on SmackDown Live this week. Jinder is bringing the Punjabi prison, the prison of Punjabi, yes. He's bringing that to the Down and Smack next week, which would be very cool for the go-home show of SmackDown. And it's been a while since we've seen this, so maybe they added some new element to it, make it look even cooler. Who knows? We haven't seen the Punjabi prison since that one match I've seen in person. Batista and Great Khali, No Mercy 2007. Ay caramba. But SmackDown Live is killing it. We all know that SmackDown's the A show. We all know that. But on that note, we're going to wrap it up for this week's edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to check out this week's podcast. I know you got so many other things you should be focusing on, and the fact that you wanted to spend some time listen to me while you're working out or driving on your way home from work, or listen to me while you're at your cubicles right now, or whatever you're doing, depending when you're listening to this. I want to say thank you for taking your time to listen to this podcast. It truly means a lot to me. Make sure to like the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast Facebook page. Just type in Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, and you always have the link to the podcast there. Make sure just to follow me at Twitter and Instagram at, wait for it, Notorious Joshi. Make sure to check me out on the Bomb Up Pipes, aka the Pipe Bomb with McCool and Company on the NAI Network. Subscribe, leave us a review for the Bomb Up Pipes there on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to do that for this podcast as well. Subscribe, leave a review and rating, and screenshot the reviews and send it to me on Twitter. I'll give you a shout out on the podcast next week. I promise I will do that. Check out my wrestling transcription site called ProWrestlingResults.wordpress.com. And make sure to go to my YouTube channel, get every edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. And I know I promised that I was going to air Roderick Strong's interview this week. I might have to move that to next week. But again, I just want to say thank you guys so much for checking out this week's edition of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Go to mindcarnage.com, support the MOC family and all the great podcasts there like Wrestling With and et cetera, et cetera. Again, thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast. I'll be back here next week to give out my predictions for Battleground. And then, this one positive message is sent off like I do every single show that I do. Remember, you are the director of your life story. Don't let anybody impugn your character, especially if his name is Alberto El Patron. On that note, I'm out. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. I love you guys. I'll talk to you next week.